Hello, 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 and welcome anybody and everybody that may be watching this today. So my name is Mike Mills, and I am a mortgage banker here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and my team and I focus on helping local agents grow their business by providing insights to all aspects of real estate. We can show you how to better market yourself, provide referrals to great real estate-related vendors in the area that will take amazing care of your clients, and provide some simple tips and tricks to streamline your business so you can help more buyers and sellers. So if you'd like to have a conversation about your business and what we can do to help, please don't hesitate to reach out. And of course, if you have any buyers needing to get pre-approved to purchase a home, we'd love to take great care of them as well. So now that boring commercial is out of the way. So on today's episode of the Texas Real Estate and Finance Podcast, I am very happy to welcome one of my favorite realtors, but also one of my very good friends, Mary Ann Cottrell. No, wrong one. I got to get them right. There we go. No, wrong buttons. See, this is why you got to do things ahead of time. So check. I have applause. There it is. There it is. Gosh.
Can't believe you got me here.
I know. Too many buttons over here. But yes, I am so glad that you're here. I know when I brought this up originally, this wasn't exactly at the top of the list of things that you wanted to do.
I
right?
think I was -10 on the ask list, and I said no. No. I think I'm 41, so I think I've said no how many times?
Yes, several. Yes, but I don't take no for an answer, and I always I know that you'll be great on this. So I had to have you in because you have a reason now that you kind of need to. So you didn't have a choice because you have a coach that's telling you need to do stuff like this.
Yes,
so,
I do. Thank you.
Now that we have information coming from two different directions, now it makes sense for you to show up and do it with us. So,
or at least I feel like I have to.
Yes, and you're definitely stepping out of your comfort zone. How do you feel about that?
I'm going to live. I mean, I'll survive this, but yeah I'm not happy.
Well, the good news is that as we're talking and going through this, there might be anywhere between 5 to 7 people that watch. So It'll all come later and you don't have to have any nervousness about it.
That sounds perfect.
That's right. So today we're going to talk about all kinds of things, but most of the stuff that we're going to discuss is going to be related to how you manage your business. Okay. So Mary Ann's been doing this for almost 10 years, and she's developed all kinds of habits that have helped her grow her business over the years. So we're going to discuss how she uses coaching to improve her skill set, ways that she gets involved in the community and grows her sphere, and you can kind of pick up a few things from that. And then she also just recently formed a team. So we're going to kind of chat about, what helped you finally make that decision and how you're feeling about that. But first, I want to start with kind of how you got into real estate to begin with, because I always think everybody has a unique story on what drives them into the business. No two stories are the same. Right. So they're always, and your particular story carries a lot of interest because to say that you have a big family would be an understatement. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you ultimately got into real estate to begin with, and then we can kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, let's go back. We'll find out as we do this. I'm old. So,
hey, it's all a matter of the mind.
Oh, the mind is still so young.
25 in your head always.
Exactly. Always. So college,
Okay.
I actually took 12 hours of real estate, 15 hours of accounting, but I ended up with a finance degree. One of my first real estate classes, we went to this place way, way, way far north before 635 was built. Mm-hmm. And they were going to build this community. Like, what does that mean? Like houses and apartments and stores.
So like mixed use community.
Yeah, it was weird, called Valley Ranch.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So now good luck finding Valley
really
Ranch.
Dating yourself there.
I am really dating myself. But that was, it was just cool to me. Mm-hmm. The whole thought about it. But I didn't really think about doing real estate. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Then my first job, I worked in master trust. I did pension funds.
Okay.
I managed $6-8 billion of pension funds for people. And I had about $300 or $400 million in real estate trust. So I did a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
So I understood the documentation, bought malls, bought strip centers, did all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Then,
so like commercial side of things.
Commercial side of it. And I really only did the money and the documents.
Okay.
Never really got to see the stuff like I did before.
Right.
Then my husband and I opened a company, and we managed failed loans.
Okay.
Had a lot of mortgage-backed materials.
Yes.
So we'd have 20 houses, 10
So this
houses.
was at the height, too, of when stuff like that was really coming down. Right.
Yeah, that's when everything was being sold. Everything was being foreclosed on. We were on the steps. So we kind of went the other way, landlord. I mean, it was crazy. Got all that stuff done. Then became a single mom.
Okay.
And worked with a guy that wanted to flip.
Okay.
So we started buying houses in Fairmont, and we'd get down to the studs and we'd rebuild a house. And so it always was in the back, but I never thought of making it a career.
A career. It's just something you did.
It's just something we did. And I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Well, I have now 4 kids under the age of like 13, and I've always done Catholic schools.
Yes.
And it's expensive.
Yes.
And not sure how I'm going to pay that. Right. So
now you're speaking in the present tense in your words, but you're talking about back then.
It's still back then,
right.
12 years ago, maybe 10 years ago.
Now you said you had 4 kids under 13?
Yeah, that was 4.
But how many do we have total?
We do. We have 8 children.
8 children. Total. Okay. I always joke, I give you a hard time. I say you have 25 kids or 30 kids or whatever.
Well, I have friends telling me I have 42.
Yes.
It's just.
Yeah. Anything over 2. I got 2. Anything over 2 to me is like 75. So I'm good.
So I have 8. Here's the stats. Let's get it over with.
Yes.
There's 8 kids. They're 12 years apart. There's 4 boys and 4 girls. I do a lot of speaking at other retreats and stuff. And I always tell people 4 boys and 4 girls is so much easier than 8 children. So just knock it down. You'll be fine. So,
how very Catholic of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So my oldest is 30. Good Lord. He's 34, which makes me feel even older than
25 in your mind. 25 in your mind.
Valley Ranch. That made me feel younger than saying my son's 34. And then my youngest turns 22 next week.
Yay.
So anyway, so that's that.
Yes.
So I had 4 of them at home, Catholic tuition.
Got to pay the bills.
I tried jewelry. I tried whatever, anything to knock on somebody's door, to go into their house, to sell. And I finally went.
Well, I'm curious, was it hard? Because I think people deal with this sometimes too, of you had been kind of in a lot of different things, right? There wasn't, you weren't an engineer at Lockheed Martin, or you weren't a teacher at, AISD or whatever. Like you did a little bit of commercial, you did a little bit of flipping. So it's hard whenever you're not in a particular, you're in a field, but there isn't like a path in front of you.
Exactly.
So you kind of have to find, okay, where the hell am I going to fit? Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to sell jewelry, or am I going to sell this? Like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, because there isn't like I've been doing this for 15 years. So I'll just keep doing that. Right.
I'm 50 years old. Nobody wants to hire a 50-year-old.
Right.
Of course, do the math. I'm now 60, turned 60 in January.
Yes.
Nobody wants to hire. We're phenomenal. We're great workers. We have so much, but let me hire a 24-year-old who doesn't know anything, then that's their choice.
Right. You're not going to IBM to get a career started today. Right?
No, I'm not.
No.
So I took the tests. Started in August. Took the classes. Passed the test.
And that's when we met.
It was when we met.
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
And I think I met you probably my first day.
I think you did.
I think we did. And that's just kind of been it. And I just have loved it. I absolutely love my job.
Well, I remember when you first started, because at that point, let's see, I had been in the business maybe not quite 5 years, so I was relatively new to it as well. And I remember when you came in, we were chatting about, you starting out as an agent or whatever. And, you had a bunch of questions. We talked for a good while.
Yeah.
Anytime we get together, we talk too long, probably. But we, you had a lot of questions about a lot of different things. And I even think like you were writing stuff down, and, not that I had anything that I was saying that was worth writing down, but either way, you were definitely engaged in trying to pick up, okay, what do I need to know here? What do I need to know here? And I remember at the time you said Sharon's name, Sharon Parrish, who was the broker, her and John Pollock at Remax Pinnacle at that time.
Right.
I remember talking to Sharon, and I said, she's going to be good. I said, she's going to be really good. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we meet new agents all the time. The great thing about real estate is that you have a ton of flexibility in your schedule. You can make as much money as you want to, or as little as you want to. The downside to the industry is that it is a low barrier of entry.
Yes.
Like, that you have to take a test, you have to get licensed, but it's not that hard, it's pretty easy. So, if you want to become a realtor, it's not that difficult to do.
Exactly.
So, so you get a lot of people that come in and they'll be in the business for maybe 6 to 12 months and then they're gone, just because it wasn't for them.
Right.
And you had such a, desire to learn. And you also, because of your situation with your, your ex-husband and being single at that point with the kids, there wasn't an option.
No.
Like you had to figure out how to make it work. And that's why I was like, look, she's sharp. She knows exactly what she wants to do. She's not scared to work, and she has to make this work. Like there is no choice. That's how you know she's going to be good.
Well, and people talk about your why.
Yes.
And when you do coaching, it's one of the first thing they talk about. Do
Right.
you have a why?
Right.
Do you not have a why? You have to have a why.
Right.
Why? And my why was so huge that there wasn't anything but my why.
Yes.
So.
Well, and it's not, in that case, I wouldn't even say it was necessarily a why. It was more like a must.
Yes.
Like there is no, you can't come home and say, hey, you know what, guys, I don't feel like it today. So we're just not going to eat.
Well, and it wasn't even Catholic education was the biggest proponent, but I don't know if y'all know this, but they eat, they need a car.
Yeah.
They, there's something called Select. We did Select Soccer, 2 of them. Oh my gosh. That's a whole nother job.
Yes.
To get that done.
Yes.
So, there's just a lot.
Yeah.
To your 2 kids.
Yes.
Times 2 to 4.
Right. Yeah.
So there's just a lot to it.
Yes.
And so, you got to figure out a way to make it. And, you know what? I have, all 8 of them got 12 years of Catholic education. I'm not a big help in college. I figure I've done all the help I can. And so they all pretty much take care of themselves in college. But right now I have 7 college graduates, and in May I'll have 8.
Well, there's something.
Sorry, that was a little mom.
No, I love it. There is a lot to be said for, and my kids probably hate me for this, and you know how I feel about this stuff because we talk about it a lot. But life's got to be a little hard. You know what I mean? If everything is given to you and everything is easy and I'm speaking it from a parent's point of view, not necessarily from a person, but if you give your kids everything all the time, the appreciation of what they have and what they've been given tends to be diminished because they just don't understand what it takes to give what you give. And, Susan and I experience this from time to time because we've done decent for ourselves and want to give our kids everything we can, so I'll tell you a funny story. So yesterday or day before yesterday, I'm taking Katie Jane to school and she's like, why does the fridge smell like pickles? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I get home and Susan's getting up with Troy and they're, getting ready to go to school or whatever. And she's like, why does the fridge smell like pickles? And she had a big pickle jar, or there was a big pickle jar in there. And Troy had gone in there in the night and unscrewed it to get a pickle and then didn't put the lid back on tight enough. And it just drained all into the fridge. And, my wife doesn't get upset about a lot of stuff, but when her clean stuff gets dirty, she loses her damn mind. And so she's like, he's like, I thought I put the lid on. I'm like, you didn't, bro. She's like losing her mind. Why can't you people take care of anything? Blah, 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 blah. And I kind of joked. I was like, well, when you do everything for them all the time, they're going to tend to make some mistakes. She's like, I don't need your opinion. I'm like, I'm just saying, it's kind of like we got home the other night and she had made dinner and, we walk in the door and she's got plates fixed and bringing forks and drinks. And I'm like, babe, like we're, I got legs, I got hands, like we can do this. And he needs to be able to do this on his own.
Yes.
He doesn't need you doing everything for him all the time, but it's her innate, she wants to take care of everybody. But the point is just that, you have to train your kids to do things for themselves.
Yes.
And sometimes you do it out of necessity because you don't have a choice, right? When you have 8 kids and you're living on one income and you're managing everything yourself, you're like, look, I got to take so-and-so to practice today. You got dinner on your own, figure it out. Right. And we always used to have the conversations about when you would actually have time to make dinner and you're like, here's dinner. Yeah. And then like a friend would show up or something and they'd be like, I don't really like whatever. And you're like, well, I'm sorry, but you're at my house and this is how it's going to go.
This is it. Peanut butter and jelly's in the pantry. Otherwise, here's what we have.
Yes,
exactly.
So I think that, it's when you have kids that either out of necessity or because you created the space to where they had to learn how to figure stuff out for themselves, the success meter tends to be on a higher degree because they've just had to learn how to do stuff.
Well, and all 8 of them paid for their books all through Nolan.
Yeah.
And if you go to public schools, that doesn't make sense to you. But in private schools, not only are you paying them for school, you
Pay
are
for
paying
books.
for every book.
Yeah.
You're paying for everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing given to you.
Right.
Books can go $200 to $600.
Yep.
A kid a year.
Semester, or
whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was their job. And they had a job. They all worked at Camp Thurman. We'll give them a plug, right?
Yeah,
Best place in the world.
Camp Thurman's awesome.
And they all worked through Camp Thurman, and they would make money during the summer to pay for their books for the next year.
Yeah.
They messed us up right around third to the bottom, like maybe John or Mary, one of them, they quit hiring early. So that year before freshman year, they didn't have a job.
Right.
Or it was a volunteer year, I think it was. So no money.
Okay.
So the older kids just paid for theirs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't going to change. I'm not very flexible. And once I've made my rules for number 1 through 6,
everybody's
7, and 8.
Got to follow the same.
Yeah. So the older kids just paid for the younger ones' books until they made money.
Yeah.
And we got it done.
Yeah. You got to figure it out, right?
Figure it out.
Well, and it's funny because when we talk about school and grades and stuff with my kids, the rule in our house, good or bad,
right?
I have smart kids, and they're expected to make A's. There is no reward for A's. There's punishment for B's, and that's how it works.
Okay.
But I am a big believer of, like, I don't care how you get your A, just get the A. Because there's a system in a school, right? You have to know the teacher. Are you the teacher's pet? Are you getting extra credit? Are you, figuring out how to go in after school to, work on this or do that? Like, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Extra project, you're best friends with the teacher. You want to cheat off. So I don't care. A's. The point is you have to make an A, because I think most things in life are like, the result is ultimately, to some degree, what matters in a lot of ways. Okay. Not in everything by any stretch. Like, process, I believe in big time too. But a lot of things you just got to get from point A to point B, right? However you get from point A to point B, it doesn't matter. Right. Like, just get to point B. And so part of learning how to navigate, whether it be at work or whether it be in relationships or whether it be at school or college or anything else, is you got to learn the shortcuts. You got to learn the pitfalls. You got to learn all the stuff that you can and can't do, to ultimately achieve whatever goal that you have. And so, if my daughter can talk my wife into helping her with half of her project to get it done, I'm like, look, I don't think you should do that because you're not learning how to do it very well. But if you could talk your mom into doing it and you still get an A, again, get the A. That's all that cares. So,
like normal, I'm going to disagree with you totally, which is very common for our conversation.
Yes, that is.
No, I have my D. It's done. I have a D. It's a degree, child. Uh-huh. It isn't A's.
Yeah.
It's what's your best. And some of my kids' best were A's, but some of my kids' best were C's. And that wasn't A. We would celebrate a C just as big as we could celebrate an A.
Yes.
So that being said,
Tanya says hello, by the way. She popped in there.
Oh, hey.
Now, real quick, before you finish that thought, I 100% agree with you on that.
Yes.
But the difference is that both of my children are A children and are fully capable of making A. So if I had, Troy's, he's questionable, but if
how
he
did
was,
Dad do?
I made straight A's. Aside, I probably had a B in there somewhere or whatever, but I can't remember.
Just
but
asking.
Yeah, I wasn't. The grades were always, except in college. College was not. But I do agree with you there. Like, you have to cater it to the particular child and what their success. It'd be no different if my daughter wanted to learn how to play guitar and I expected her to be Jimi Hendrix. It's like, no, she's not a guitar. That's not her. It's not her nature, whatever you want to call it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you got to have expectations for different levels of kids.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. Just had to clarify.
Yes. No, 100%. No. And I do think, and I want to be sure too, that, I'm a big believer in process, which I think you are as well, that you have to follow certain steps and you have to go along a certain path in order to achieve, what you want to do.
Yes.
And I do think that the process is more valuable than the result. Right. But explaining that to a 12-year-old or 13-year-old, 15-year-old, it's difficult. Exactly. So, there we're more focused on results to some extent.
And I would tell you, when each one of them was 13, 14, I would not have thought we had 8 college graduates.
Right.
I wouldn't have put money on that.
Yeah.
Because that didn't look like that was going to be the best path for a couple of them.
Sure.
But we did.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Well, but that's work, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's what that is. I mean, and that was my point to my kids. I'm like, listen, school is, and by the way, Tanya says, we all got superpowers and you got a lot of them. We all have, I have a job. My job is to sell mortgages. You have a job. Your job is to sell houses, right?
Right.
Whatever. My kid's job is to go to school. That's their job. And every day they have to be at work at 8:00 in the morning or whatever time, 7. Yep. They have to do their tasks, their assignments and their thing, whatever. And they have to be scheduled and go to these places. And for them, it's not that hard. So your job is to get A's. Like that's your job. Yes. And if you take care of your job, then everything will be provided as you need or that you want. And if you don't, then things get subtracted. So
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So it's just, the reason that your kids have the success that they've had is because they had to earn everything that they did. And you provided that environment, again, sometimes out of necessity, sometimes out of purpose, but either way, that environment was there for them. And because they worked their butts off, then when they got to college, they had the skills that they needed to have success. You know?
And I also, I'm going to bring them up one more time, but one thing with all 8 is the summers at Camp Thurman. Whether 2 parents, 1 parent, it didn't matter. Yeah. All 8 of them did summers, sometimes 8, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, working all summer, 110 with a bunch of kids every summer.
Yes.
And I think I give them half credit. I tell them all the time, whoever's there and whoever's working there and running it, I always tell them we got to share.
Yes.
Because I really think the kids got where they were in part from Camp Thurman.
Oh, yeah.
They just instill so much into those kids and taught them good, bad, and the ugly. What do you mean I'm going to park cars 45 minutes before everybody else and you're not paying me anything? Nope, you're not.
And oh, by the way, you're going to do it with a smile on your face.
Yes, exactly.
And if you don't, you won't be out there.
And you're going to be, somebody just hit you in the car line? Yeah, you're going to smile all the way to the nurse's station.
That's right.
Because that's what we do.
That's right.
Yeah, and they've learned so much.
No, that was a great environment. And I mean, we took our kids there and would go through there all the time. And like, nobody's this happy all the time. There's no way that everybody's this happy, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah, they are.
So you brought up earlier coaching.
Yes.
And Tanya's here. So it's a good way to transition into that. So one of the things that I noticed about you right away was that you got into Buffini right from the jump. And coaching has always been a real big piece of what you do.
Yes.
And some people have all kinds of difference of opinions on coaching and how it works and what you should do and paying for this and paying for that. So I want to get your point of view on why, especially like right out of the gate, you started with the coaching. And then obviously you've derived enough value from it that over the years you've continued. So what is it about that got you started with it? And then why do you feel like it's served you so well, to move forward and keep doing it?
Buffini worked so well for me in the beginning just because it is me. It's relationships.
Okay.
Everything I do in my whole life is relationship. So when I started Buffini, I realized it doesn't have to be a job. I can incorporate my real life into doing this.
Right.
I can keep up with people. I have a friend that we went to museum school. We lived next door when we were 3. He was at my party. I'm at his parties. We still see each other at 60.
Yeah.
And I've got hundreds of those people.
Yeah.
Grade school, high school. Anyway, so when they told me I could keep up with people and that would be part of my job, it's like, oh, okay, that's not a job.
Yeah.
I got that check.
Yeah.
So it really fed into what I already did.
So it already fit what you were doing.
It just fit perfectly.
Gotcha.
Oh, you mean I get to send birthday cards and Christmas cards to everybody? You mean I get to take them out to eat?
Yeah.
You mean I get to call them all the time? I mean, it just fit who I was.
Yeah.
So after going to a few of the, masterminds or the, learning sessions or whatever, they talk about this coaching all the time. So you do this heritage profile thing and they kind of figure out who you are and what
you're like a personality
test. And shockingly, I'm a benefactor. Who would have thought?
Okay.
And so
what's a benefactor? How do they describe it?
I do things for everybody else.
I gotcha. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, having 8 kids will tend to do that to you.
Yeah. So that's kind of my focus.
Right.
And so they matched me up with Tanya and the two of us.
So Tanya was your coach when you were with Buffini?
With Buffini.
Okay. All right. So she was your first coach there? Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool. I didn't know that.
And so I don't know. I'll be corrected. I'm sure we did that maybe 3-4 years. I don't know. It's accountability.
Yeah.
You want to do the right stuff. You want to do what you need to build your business. But if you don't have a coach, there's nobody. Did you do that?
Right.
This is a great example. What we're doing today. When we were coaching before COVID, Marianne, you going to do videos? No. Marianne, you doing videos? No. January, I'm on a group coaching call. Marianne, you doing videos? No. There's another girl that does the videos with us. She goes, oh, okay, we'll do it together. Well, she put hers on. Well, now here I'm left. I'm the only one left. So I did mine. Then I'm doing this. So two, wherever you are out there, there's two of them. I'm not comfortable.
Yeah.
This isn't a comfort place for me because I'm talking about me. I don't want to talk about me. I want to talk about Mike.
Right.
I want to know what's good with Mike.
Right.
I want all about Mike and nothing about Marianne.
Right.
So this is, but because of my coaching, here's why you do this. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we're going to build on it. Okay, now we've done this. Let's do this. There's a plan. Every year we sit together financially. What's your budget look like? What do you need to keep your budget? What's your target number? How many people do you want to sell this year? What's your goals? I mean, and that's just a constant. We all think we're going to do it, but it slips. Yeah. Either one thing slips or they all slip. But with a coach, that's her job. Her job is to keep you going down the right path. And when you veer off, which I do, Tanya and I are very opposite. She's an Olympian. She's a winner. She's how was it going to do this? How am I going to be first? What's going to happen?
Right.
You'll enjoy talking to her. But y'all are just very much, and I'm like, oh, it was so much fun to play. I'm so glad you won.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. You don't have the competitive side. No.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Do you want to play next week? It'll make you feel better if you win.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be first in the class. I don't have to be in the class.
Yeah.
Just let me get to where I want to go.
So the accountability side of it plays a big role for you. Yeah.
Huge.
I do think that gets missed a lot just because, it's weird because, we all have parents. Every human on the planet has a parent of some kind, good, bad, whatever, but we all got them. And if you have bad parents, then you probably had somebody in your life when you were growing up that was like the good parent, right? Somebody that was looking out for you, that kind of checked in on you, whatever, especially if you had any success in life, I think most people had something like that to some extent because somebody that cared about you essentially, whether it was your mom or dad or a friend or whatever. But when you become an adult, you're kind of, well, you're not you're on your own. Like you have friends, you have spheres, you have people around you, but ultimately you're solo, right?
Yep.
And you have to, and that's when I was joking with you earlier about my college years. That was what happened to me in college. My first semester in college, I was like, wait a minute, nobody's here to tell me when to get out of bed. Nobody tells me I have to go to class. Nobody's telling me, well, then this is awesome, right? Until the end of the semester, when you get your grades, you're like, oh, I guess I should have tried to do some stuff.
Exactly.
So you have to learn the hard way. But having that coach is it's kind of like having another parent. You just have somebody going, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Are you making sure this happens? And then it's like you have that anxiety whenever you're going to go, you have your call at whatever time, 2:00 on Tuesdays. And, by Monday at noon, you're like, oh crap, I didn't do my homework. I need to make sure, because I don't want to be the only one that didn't take care of it. And I think what happens is you get comfortable in that you complete whatever it is, the stuff, and then you realize it's not that bad.
Right. Exactly.
It wasn't that bad. I had an assignment. I did it. I didn't want to do it. It was the procrastination and the fear of not doing it that was way worse than just actually doing it.
Well, and I want to add one thing about the coaching. Tanya's no longer with Buffini.
Yes.
She's an independent coach.
Right.
Which I wasn't really sure how I wanted to navigate that. Mm-hmm. But the best part is really the Buffini has not left.
Right.
That's going to be me, and that was hers. But now we're pulling from so many different strategies or different ideas. Ninja Selling is a book we're reading right now.
Yep.
Just things that could it happen while she was at Buffini? I don't know. I don't know the politics, and I don't know how all that's run and what their guideline. I don't know all that, but I know it can happen when she owns her own business.
Right.
And so now she can go out and what works, what is happening with other people, and she can integrate it into all of our coaching without checking or asking.
Right.
So it's really a cool situation because I feel like I still have that base that I need to do my business with a lot more flavor.
Right. You have extra pieces added to it that you didn't have before.
Exactly.
Well, I think when you look at what the great thing about Buffini in general was that the program was based off of you know, what is it? You're the mayor of the town or whatever. Is that the saying that he has in there or something?
There's a mayor campaign.
Mayor campaign. Okay. But ultimately the idea is that you are, you know, trying to be everything, not everything to all people, but you just want to interact with as many people as you possibly can. And it's your friends. It's not necessarily strangers. These are people that you know, that you have relationships with.
Right.
And it's a matter of keeping in contact. And the shift probably for you that's starting to happen is that your way of doing that was, you know, the cards and the thank you notes. And I still, to this day, you send me cards in the mail, you know, which is always hilarious because I go like, oh, there's Mary Ann's. We had lunch. There's her card. So, but that's what you do. And it's like a muscle. Like that's just natural. Like you don't have to think about it. You just like, oh, I'm going to write my cards today.
I probably write sometimes up 2,000, 2,200 notes a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make. Right now, I'm working on my St. Patrick's notes, and I'll probably send 150, 160 of those.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. The kids are going, oh, what are the notes today? They're used to like notes all over the place.
Yeah, because that's what you do. That's your mode, right?
I love it.
But what you're trying to transition into is stuff like this, okay? But I think you know this, but it sometimes, you know, but you don't know till you do it, is that we're doing the same thing, right? It's just a different tool.
Yes.
Right. Your tool was I write notes, I put my card in, I put it in the mail and I send it off. Right. Now the tool is, okay, well, I'm going to still do my cards because that's me. And I'm going to do that till the day I die. Right. Because I can't imagine a world in which you'll ever give up sending cards, which by the way, just so you know, I do also believe that has a greater value these days than other things because nobody else is doing it. Right. It's a unique thing.
I do.
Because the mailbox is starting to shrink as far as how much mail you get. So when you get that little letter, you're like, oh, hey, look, that's me. It's got a little handwritten thing on it.
That's right.
But the social media stuff, whether it be doing this podcast or whether it be making your video that you did the other day, which congratulations for doing that for the first time.
Thank you very
much. It's the same thing. You're just not, it's just not targeted at one person. You are talking to multiple people. Right. And the thing is, and I made a little story about this the other day, is, you know, I think time is the most democratic thing that exists. Okay. We all get 24 hours.
Yep.
Everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, you know, what you look like, you get 24 hours in a day and that's it. Okay. So what matters is what you do with that time. Okay. That's what separates you from anybody else. Okay. Right. Do you screw around and, you know, spend all your days on, you know, watching TV, or do you, you know, exercise? Do you work on your business? Like, what do you do during that time? Right. And we all have to sleep. So it gets even limited on what that is. So the great thing about social media is you are fantastic at, let's go have lunch. Let's go have a drink. Let's go have dinner.
Right.
But there's only 30 days in a month. Right. And you have a family and you have a job and you have responsibilities and everything else. So you can't go spend lunch and dinner and whatever, breakfast with everybody that you know. Like, it's just, you try,
I know,
but it's challenging.
It is very challenging.
So what social media provides is a shortcut on that time to say, hey, look, every once in a while, I'm going to touch base with all the people that I know and just be like, hey, how's it going? Here's something funny. Here's what I'm doing, whatever, just so you're in front of them on a regular basis. And, you know, I think one of the things that you could use advantage of, or take advantage of, is the video messaging side of things, right? Because you could sit in your house and record 10 videos and send them just in a text message. Instead of sending a text, or instead of sending, you know, I don't know, you know, whatever, a mail or whatever, you just record a video. Hey, Joanne, how you doing? Hope the kids are great. I really miss you. Just wanted to say hi. You know, hope everything's awesome. You know, give me a call sometime. We'll go hang out. Send a video. And now they see your face, right? Because that's powerful, right? Other than just some text or, you know, what are written down. And you could send that out to 15 people in one day and, you know, kind of accomplish your task of introducing yourself, right? And then you make more videos, and then you get more confident putting videos online. Just
slow down.
Little steps, steps.
Slow down. Slow down. But you know what? That is a good idea, because other things I do, you know, I do have that client appreciation program.
Yep.
And so, you've helped me with every step of that. I've never done a pie party without you.
Right.
But like this last year, I think we had 75 pies or something. Would that be cool to do my pie party invitation by video? I don't know.
I think it sounds great. I think it sounds
We'll have to
good.
think about that. We also, it's almost time for us to do another movie.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We've been a little while now that, all the COVID stuff's kind of.
And people actually, I don't know if anybody's back in the movie theater.
Yeah, no,
but
they
if
are.
we go, I don't know. It was fun.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's what's most important to me with my business is that I do all those other things.
Yes.
I love being able to throw a party
Yeah.
and have 50, 100 people show up
Yeah.
or fill up a movie theater or go to somebody's house, babysit one of their kids. There's fun.
Yes, you've had many of your children have babysat my children over the years. So
yes.
So do you think coaching is good for everybody, or do you think it's only good for certain types of people?
I think it really is. And here's what people don't know, I don't think, or don't understand. Coaching is can be formulated for you. Okay. So, example, I'll use my coach. Where I get on a call, maybe 8, 10 people on the call. There are quite a few people just like her, very Olympian. There's only a couple of us that are probably more benefactors. And every once in a while, we'll get to cheer her because she'll speak my language. And I'm like, oh, we have to stop. She just did it. There's my language. But it can be tailored. Like as soon as the coach, once a good coach learns you and sees who you are, then it gets tailored. It's the same thing. Let's take soccer, because that's what most of my kids played. If you're a goalie, you're not going to get taught to be a midfielder.
Right.
And that's not where you're going to get coached.
Right.
Nobody's going to coach you on your speed
right.
and your footwork. I mean, it's just two different positions, two different coaches.
Right.
So you just have to get the right coach.
Right.
But yes, I think everyone needs to have somebody to be accountable to, but not only the accountable, but to push you in the right direction and build you up. Because we all have demons in our head. We all have the naysayer. We all have this, I'm either not worthy, or I don't have time, or I don't know, whatever we want to tell each other.
Yeah.
But if we've got somebody telling us, oh, yeah, you can, and you can do more, I think it's priceless.
Yeah. Well, and I think that everybody, like you said, they have whatever the message is going to be different for every person. It's not always going to be the same.
If it's a good coach.
Right. Yeah. And that's so that's another question then is like, it sounds like in your situation, you got lucky in that, right? Yes. You went into Buffini and Tanya was your first coach and still is.
Right.
Have you ever talked to any other coaches just to kind of see like, if and what are some things that kind of put up some red flags for you? Like, I don't really like that person.
I mean, I didn't really do other coaches as much as I've done other programs. Like I'd go to other people besides Buffini and didn't speak to me.
Gotcha.
It just didn't even, it just, to me, raised red flags. Like, yeah, I am not doing that.
And it's what was like, what do you think the red flags were?
Transactional based real estate.
Okay.
Like, I don't care if I do 50, if I don't know 20 of them and I'm paying for them and who are they?
Right.
I get too involved.
Gotcha.
And I'd love to do 50 of my closest friends and do transactions.
Sure.
But to go out and just to create a number, I'd turn them into friends anyway.
Yes.
So you may want me to do it a certain style, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go by to their house and drop them something off, or see if they want to go grab a drink anyway. Or so I'm going to change their program. So I feel like it's going to be like that with a coach. If I find somebody now, Tanya, we don't agree on everything. We didn't agree during COVID. I stopped coaching during COVID because I didn't want to call people.
Right.
I didn't want to talk about it. It was not a good time for me.
Right.
So I didn't want to hear how I could do it because I wasn't going to.
Right.
We just need to take care of ourselves. We needed to stay put.
Yeah.
I don't need to be bombarding them with things when nobody knows what's going on.
Right.
So we had a different view.
Right.
And so I stopped. And then once I was like, okay, all this is done, I'm ready to go forward and I'm ready to listen to somebody else's opinion.
Right.
Because I wasn't willing to listen to anyone's opinion.
Hey.
And then I am.
Yeah.
But you do have to be open. You have to be open to listen to somebody.
Right. You got to take an input and be okay with it. And,
Yes.
And even if you don't agree with it, sometimes it has to be that way.
That's exactly right.
So a lot of your business, like you said, comes from friends and, friends of friends
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. Now you spend a good amount of time out. Like you go out, you go to different restaurants, you go to different bars, you go to different places. I mean, that's part of your normal life, right?
Yes.
So how have you turned that kind of stuff into, I think you've met people at bars before that you became friends with that ended up buying houses from you and things like that. So how does that look like when you go and hang out? Or you just, I mean, you're not a shy person. So that's definitely, you're more than willing to talk to anybody. And because like you said, if you're talking to me, you want to hear about me, you're not sharing all your stuff about yourself. That's a great skill skill, talent, ability, person, whatever you want to call it, because people love to talk about themselves. I mean, it's their favorite thing, not you, but most people do, it's like, what's the sweetest sound to anybody is their name, right? That's the thing. So what is your interaction with like in those environments that have put you in a place where you pick up business from that?
Oh gosh, you asked like 3 questions there. Okay, so let's do the first one. Yes, I love being a regular as somewhere. I love having relationships. I'll do a shout out to Cat City Grill, place on Magnolia. It is my place.
Yes.
It is a lot of people's places. I can remember being a single mom and just showing up and having water because I didn't really have money for the food.
Yeah.
But I'd sit there and have water. And if I had, I'd have whatever's on the special one. And do you have any crackers? And, and thank God they were on, what was that? That Groupon.
Yes.
And thank God for Groupon. That fed us so many times. Groupon. Yes. Anyway, and I just sat at the bar watching basketball or watching whatever's on there and, oh, who's next to me? And you're right. 9 out of 10 times I will leave a restaurant or a bar and I will know so much about the other person and they could not tell you my name.
Right.
And that's okay. That's what happens.
That's the way it goes. Yeah.
And so I go the next time and, oh my gosh, you look so familiar. What was and then we talk again and then we talk again. I don't wear a name badge. I'm going to get in trouble. I know.
You should.
Don't wear a name badge.
Or just get a t-shirt, or whatever.
I know. I don't do that. And so it's usually my 3rd or 4th visit before people realize I'm a realtor.
Right.
Not a great skill. I don't recommend it for anybody, but that's what's comfortable for me.
Sure.
I want to know somebody and build a relationship with somebody because I want to build a relationship with them and not to sell them a house or to help them buy a house.
Yeah. It's a genuine desire.
It is.
Yeah.
And so once finally, after a while, people do ask after you've talked to them a few times, oh, Marianne, what do you do?
Yeah.
And the bartender laughs every time like, oh, here it goes. She finally gets to say she's a realtor.
All right.
Yeah, that one only took 4 times, Marianne.
Yes.
So it's kind of a joke because I tell people that all the time. Nobody will ever ask me what I do or or anything about me. Nobody knows I have 8 kids. Nobody knows anything because people don't ask.
They don't.
So it's always kind of a little contest.
Yes.
Like how many times
is it going to take?
Yeah. So, but I've got some of my best friends are at Cat City and I've been going there probably 8, 9 years. We do our pie parties there. I do a lot of happy hours. We do a lot of meals, but I've got others. Trey Mowgli's one of my new favorites. Ended up another one of my superpowers. How about this? I can almost find a connection with anybody.
Okay.
I can remember when we were sitting there talking.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe a couple of months in, found out your stepsister went to high school with my oldest son.
Yes.
Give me enough time, I'll find a connection with anyone.
Yep.
And that's what happened. The bartender at Trey Mowgli's parents go to the same church, and we went on a pilgrimage together. And I spent 10 weeks with his in-laws.
That's crazy.
I know. It just is what happens.
Yeah.
And so the chef comes out. I know him because my best friend's his accountant.
Yeah.
So it just.
And you've been in the area a long time too.
Born and raised.
Yeah. So that makes a big difference, right? I mean, because you went to Nolan, right?
Yes.
Which is it's a unique thing for you to go to Nolan and then all your kids to go to Nolan.
Yes.
I mean, it's just anytime you're in a community for that long, and especially in the Catholic community, or in the Fort Worth area, if you're Catholic and you live in Fort Worth, odds are you got some sort of connection to Nolan.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's all that happens. And then once you make a connection, I had no idea you're, so-and-so's mom or whatever. Yeah. Well, then you just go forward. And then it just makes sense. Yeah. Yes. Then it just makes sense. Oh, I'm about to get married. Oh, well, you're going to be looking for a house soon. I'd love to be able to help y'all whenever you're ready.
Right.
I don't know how many young couples I've helped because they went to school with my kids
Yeah.
and they've known me forever, and I'm going to tell them the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
that's
just-
always, yes. You have never been one to sugarcoat things at all, which I think, is great because it, especially as an agent, like it plays a big piece in it. And everybody wants to tell, you want to tell them what they want to hear,
Exactly.
right? Because that's easier that way.
Yes.
But that's not what's in their best interest many
No.
times. And especially when you've been doing it as long as you have. I think you've even talked people out of buying houses before.
I have.
This is not the time. You don't need to do this yet. You need to do this. You need to do this. And if you were transactional based, then that would never happen.
Exactly.
Right. But you're not. You're relationship based. And when you're relationship based, then you're going to tell people what you think, in your opinion, is going to be the best case scenario for them and what they should maybe do.
Exactly.
And being a mom for so long, there's certainly, for so many, hundreds and hundreds,
24, 42.
There's so much of that comes out too, because you're momming them, right? You're like, all right, listen, kids, here's how this is going to go.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've always been, very good at that. And, it takes, not every client's for you, and you're not for every client.
Exactly.
Because you're not going to tell them what they want. And I think you've even told people before, I don't think that I'm going to be your agent.
I have fired more than one.
Yeah.
I don't allow a lot of things.
Yeah.
And there are some individuals who like to belittle, who like to cuss and be out of line. And they get one chance.
Yeah.
And then they're gone.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you might be able to get away with this with other people, but not going to happen here. So, great knowing you.
Yeah.
Don't let the door hit you on your way out.
Right.
There's just, life's too short. Just not going to do it. And in the back of my mind, or maybe in the forefront of my mind, I'm not going to set that example to my kids.
Oh, yeah.
We're not the kids will hear somebody on the phone with me, and I hang up thinking, Mom, why would they speak to you like that? I'm like, sometimes there's reasons, but if it's just because that's who they are, then
they won't last very long.
That's not going to last.
Yeah. Well, so you did another, speaking of your comfort zones, you did another thing that's out of your comfort zone that you had been told would be a good idea for you to do for a long time, that you were hesitating. And this year you decided to form a team, right?
Oh, you're right.
And
I was afraid where you're going.
Yeah. And so, but the thing with that is that, and I thought for years that was something that you should have done, a while back.
Right.
And it was always a hesitation for you for a number of reasons. But, when people talk about stuff, everybody's always an expert, right? Everybody's like, well, I know how to do this and I know how to do that, and I'm great at this. I really like talking to people that are doing things for the first time, because I think there's so much more to learn there when you can say, I'm not good at this. I don't like that. I had to find this. This wasn't my, versus, oh, well, let me tell you how this is going to work. This is going to be great. I'm going to show you how to do it. And you're going to be amazing because I am going to tell you all the great things. So what has your experience been like with starting a team? What kind of pushed you over the edge finally to get you to do it? And do you have were there hesitations, and things about it that you really were nervous about, and have some things worked out a little bit better than you thought? Like, how's that whole experience been for you? And I know you're brand new into it. It's we're
months into it.
Right.
We're months into it.
Right.
And I have two people on my team, Anita Kibbe and Perla Zubia, a bilingual.
Both former clients?
Both, yes.
Yes.
Perla, we've worked and haven't solidified anything, but one day we're going to. But now she can do her own.
Yes.
She's bilingual.
Yes.
So I even have a bigger bonus on my team.
There you go.
Anyway, the problem was, I think, to be honest, all my kids left. I became an empty nester. I don't know what mom of many does with an empty nest. And I really started thinking, who am I going to help?
Right.
My why.
Who am I going to mom?
Who am I going to mom? Who am I going to teach? What am I going to do?
Right.
And my why, that's a big coaching issue with me, because I lost my why.
Okay.
I what do you mean I have to make money for me?
Yeah.
I have to make money for my rent. That's my kids' rent. That's my kids' school. That's my
Right.
kids. So I had to completely change my direction to me. So where am I going to get all of my boxes checked? How am I going to do what makes me happy? I love teaching the Buffini classes, and so I get to do that. But I just wanted to do more.
Yeah.
The problem with teams is, as you can tell, I don't tolerate
Right.
certain things.
Yes.
So how am I going to do a team and actually have it work?
Right.
So one of my top criteria is when I sat there and did the whole, what are the values? What's my mission? What's my purpose of my team? Compassion was my number one word.
Okay.
If I can't have someone on my team that has compassion, that's going to care more about the people than the transaction, care more about the people long term, people who aren't going to keep up. If they can't use that model, I don't know if I can help them.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I don't know if it's going to work until I see if it works. So far I've got two great ladies who I feel embody the same thing I do. They're at the very beginning. So if anybody's interested in buying or selling, I've got two new people and they're really wanting to learn.
Right.
But I think that's going to start fulfilling me more.
Okay.
I don't want a huge team. If I had two, maybe three more people, I'd probably be happy. Just because we have cycles and some people are busy when other people aren't. I thought if I had 4 or 5, then I could maybe stay busier. I'd be more consistently busy. And on a selfish note, this is my year. I've never had a year, but this one's my year.
Okay.
So I'm going to travel.
Oh.
I've already traveled some. I'm going to travel some more.
All right.
It'd be great if somebody would answer my phone while I'm gone.
That's not a bad thing either.
There's my other bonus.
Yes. So when you, like, how much did Tanya play a role with you on deciding about forming the team? And did she encourage you down that road a little bit too? Or was this something you kind of came to on your own? Or?
I kind of came on it on my own. I probably should have asked for a lot more help and I should have gotten more direction. But I thought about it for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And
well, you're definitely not somebody who's going to do something because somebody tells you to.
No,
that's for sure. So
that doesn't happen.
You have
much.
to get there on your own. There's
I
no
do.
doubt about that.
We actually talked about teas before when she was still at Buffini.
Yeah.
And I had taken classes and I had done a lot of research. But I really wanted to do it differently.
Yeah.
I didn't want to structurally create teams.
Right.
I wanted it more emotionally. I wanted it to fulfill what I needed it to fulfill, which is really not the way you're supposed to do it.
Right. It wasn't about, it wasn't about transactions.
No.
It was about the relationships.
It was about the relationships,
Right.
people that understood me. And if I was gone, I would trust them with my clients.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing. But she's helping me going forward, like how to, once they get busy and things start
structure
happening.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you do have to have, that's the hard part with the teams is the relationships are great and that's a big piece of it, but you also have to have some structure. You have to have some processes in place and procedures on how to do stuff and manage all that. And, when you're learning how to do it, especially when it's always just been, you have the tools because you managed 8 children growing up. Right. But it was the methods, that were different. Right.
Yes.
And that's the thing is, the necessity of it and what needs to be done, but it's how it gets accomplished and what that looks like and planning that out. That's a new challenge for you.
It is, which keeps me interested.
It certainly isn't boring.
That's exactly right.
So do you think that, like when you look down the road, when you're doing real estate, is this something you're just going to continue to do for as long as you absolutely can? Or do you have dreams of quote unquote retirement, or is this retirement or how, I know what the answer is, but I got to ask,
Yeah, retire. I guess if the kids all decided to support me, everybody take a month. I still have to pay rent. I still have to eat. I still have to travel. I still have to do stuff. So I can't imagine. Plus, I'm not good. I'm a very social, obviously, person. If I don't go out, if I'm not, I don't have to be with people.
Yeah.
If I'm just sitting, people are going to think she's at a bar all the time because we've now said this 4 times. But if I'm sitting at a bar by myself, I am completely happy with the activity going on around me.
Yeah.
Now, I will end up talking to somebody probably, but that's not the point.
You just don't want to be sitting at home by yourself.
I can't stand it.
Yes.
Now I have a puzzle, but my house is completely busy. There's a 2,000-piece puzzle over here.
Okay.
I have this going here. I have notes going here. Upstairs, I have this.
You saw the dog?
Don't. Bad story. Not talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll again have a dog.
One day. Gotcha.
But there's just too much going on all the time.
Yeah.
Which we talked about. I'm going to bring something up. We talked about morning routines.
Yes.
Love morning routines.
Okay.
I have the most non-conforming morning thing you could ever imagine.
What you got?
So I wake up every morning. I have 2 grandkids in Richardson, and I have 2 grandkids in Denver,
Okay.
or North Colorado. So the 2 in Richardson I see all the time. They go to a school called Dallas International School. Never heard of it till they went there.
Okay.
It's in French.
Okay. Oh,
the
okay.
whole school.
Wow. All right.
There's an English class, and they take a foreign language, which is Chinese. We're talking a kindergartner and a 3-year-old.
Okay.
Like, nothing the same of any way I ever did it. It's amazing.
Yes.
So French is their school language.
Okay.
So I have started Babbel.
Okay.
So I've started French.
All right.
And reason being that they suggested he speak more French at home.
Yeah, you got to practice it.
We got to practice. So I thought, well, if Mimi, because I am a Mimi.
Okay, there you go. I like it.
The best title I've ever heard. So Mimi started Babbel, and now I can try to say something to him, and this little 6-year-old just cracks up going, no, Mimi, it's like this. So I may not help in the traditional sense of helping him, but I'm helping because he's correcting me.
Yes,
and
that's
he's becoming the teacher.
That's right. Becoming the teacher is the best way to learn.
And my goal is, the Bob books, they have those in French.
Oh, yes.
So I'm hopeful that I can build myself up to reading Bob books to the kids at night.
Nice.
So I try to go once a week. So that's the first thing I do every morning.
Is work on your Babbel.
Is I work on my Babbel.
Okay.
And I'm doing French.
All right.
And I just this is going to be crazy, and I'm not saying, believe I'm going to say it.
By the way, you could do videos about that if you wanted to.
Enough. I'm doing a lazy get fit. What is the app?
Okay.
I am not a workout person, but I'm 60. I've got to start moving. This body's got to start doing more than what it's doing.
Resistance training and exercise is very important. The older
so
you get.
This thing is I can do it. It's called Just Fit. It's a baby workout app, but it's making me move 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's simple. And you get a little check mark.
Yep.
It's, my to-do list, and I'm done.
Yeah.
And then I have,
again, structure for you. That's your coach. You got a little app. That's your coach.
That's it.
Yes.
So, and I sit there on the carpet, and I can get it done. So I don't leave upstairs. My bedroom's upstairs. I don't leave upstairs till Babbel, my exercise, and I've got 4 mind games. Practice like crosswords or
Okay.
Sudoku, or just to get the mind working. So I have 4 of those. So I get those done. Okay, I'll get dressed. I can start my day. I don't care if I do it at 6 a.m. or 9 a.m. It doesn't matter.
Just got to get those done.
Those things are done before I walk downstairs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much research nowadays behind habits.
Yes.
There's tons of books out there. Atomic Habits is like one of the best sellers in the country. I've read it a couple times actually. And there's several others that are really good. And, people don't realize, I think I read it was 70% of what you do every day is just habits.
Yep.
It's all autonomic. You just do the things, brush your teeth, go to bed, go to the bathroom, eat food, whatever it is. It's all, well, I got to do this and then I got to do this. It's like programmed out for the day. So you don't even think about it.
That's exactly right.
You're just cruising along doing, like I have the problem of every time I leave my house, I have 2 ways I can go, right or left. And depending on where I'm going, I have to go in that direction, but we go to the same places all the time. Right. So it's whatever. So because especially because I like come here or go, so like a lot of times I'll go right. It's kind of like more often than not. So I'll just be driving and I'll take a right, and Susan be like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm going, oh crap, I meant to go left, because it's just, I'm thinking about something else, and autopilot kicks in and I'm just going where I'm going. And, the thing about it is, and the real breakthrough of all this stuff is that you can program yourself.
Yes.
You're a computer. You can literally program yourself to do whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
You can't do everything because, again, like we said, 24 hours in a day.
That's it.
But prioritize the things that matter to you, and you can program yourself to make those things happen.
Yes.
But you have to do it with the intent of, I've got to make this something that I'm doing on a regular basis for the sake of creating a habit, and with that intention.
Yes.
Yes. We talked a little bit about, before we came in, about my walks that I do, and it started out, I was taking my son to school in the morning, and I had to walk him to the curb, which is ridiculous because he can't walk to the curb on his own, but whatever. It's my wife's rule. So, but it's 6:15 in the morning, 6:20, whatever it is. I'm outside. I'm dressed because it was cold at the time because we started in the fall. So I'm like, well, I'm already here. I'm up. So I might as well do something. Right. So that's when I started my walk. Right. And then, so I just started walking because I wanted to get some exercise to get my body going. I had read, there's a neuroscientist that I follow. His name's Andrew Huberman. He talks about these morning routines.
Okay.
About how when you get up, people go to get the coffee and they do all that stuff. And there's plenty of scientific evidence that suggests that when you wake up in the morning, that you need to get moving because your natural circadian rhythms that wake your body up kick in much more effectively if you get motion involved. Okay. So when you start walking forward, there's something to do with your vision field when your things are moving in and out of your field that triggers your brain to say, hey, we're awake. Like it's time to wake up. And also sunlight, natural sunlight. Okay. So in the morning, he says, do it 10 minutes, do it 15, whatever. I do mine's 30 minutes. It's about 2 miles that I walk, just lapping my driveway. But the sunlight's out. So my eyes I'm not wearing sunglasses so I can see the natural light. I'm getting motion going and I'm getting physical exercise, right? It's not a lot. Like walking's not solving the world, but it's still, you're still burning calories and you're still moving and, steps are important and all that kind of stuff. So all of that triggered from, well, I want to be up more and I want my rhythm. So I want to be a morning person. Yes. I'm not, but I want to be. That's what I want to be. So like even now, my son doesn't have to go to school at the same time, but my daughter has to go to school a little bit later. And so Susan would take Katie Jane and I would take Troy. Take Troy, walk him the driveway. But she would drive her to school. Well, once that ended, he ended practice because he had to go to practice in the morning.
Oh, okay. Got it.
She was like, now you can sleep in. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to sleep in. Like I want to get up. Right. So I'll take Katie Jane now and you can sleep in. But for me, if I don't have the why or the purpose of what I have to do that day, then I tend to want to sleep in, right? So it's forcing me to get out of bed. Now, hopefully by the end of, say, when we get to summer, I will have developed the habit enough to where I don't need that extra push of having to take her to school.
They say, 15, 30 days? Yeah. I mean, there's so many days.
Right.
That
it's
is a habit.
Different for every person, really and truly. But the idea is that habit is something that's pushing me in the direction of doing the stuff that I want to do. And then that led to me doing the videos and, the stories and all that kind of stuff. But all of those things are, we talked about habit stacking. Now I'm adding another trigger to do something else. And so there are certain things throughout my day that once I do this thing, then the next thing has to follow. And there isn't even a decision. It's just like, oh, I got to do this now. So I do that. And then I'm back to whatever it is, I'm working on. So, it's so important. And I don't know that it's talked about enough really, that whether it be for your business or for your personal life or for your health, that creating your own program for yourself on a day-to-day basis and making yourself accomplish these things. And you can't do it all at once. You got to do one step at a time.
That's exactly right.
But once you get those steps moving, you can push yourself in whatever direction you want. You just have to program your mind and your body.
It is.
And it just takes time. So, but it's one of those things that I think more people should look into. And I think that it really benefits everybody way more than you realize until you actually start it, and like you said, the accountability side of having somebody tell you, hey, you should do these things, or, hey, you need to be working on this, that gives you the push, right? And then once you start doing that stuff and you get the feedback of the benefits of it, then that becomes your why or becomes your reason, because you're like, well, I don't want to go back to what I was doing before because I feel so much better and I'm having so much more success, and all that stuff becomes built into that whole process.
Exactly.
But you need all those pieces. You need to have somebody there that you're accountable to.
Yep.
You need to create those habits, and then you need to, bear the fruit of it when it does and celebrate it. Like, hey, I did some good stuff here, and not always feel like you're down on yourself because you didn't accomplish that other thing that you wanted to do.
Well, and just to tie this in, because I meant to tie it in earlier, but you just created a great segue for me. But habit, you're the only lender I use. You are my lender of choice. Every buyer I've ever had has had to speak to you. There's not a choice. Now, I'm not blessed to use you every single time because you're not going to work with everybody.
How it happens.
But it is what happens. They may come to me with the lender.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, let's see if that's a good rate.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's really the place you need to go. Let's talk to Mike.
Yes.
And that's going to be how Anita and Perla is going to be taught the same way. So
Right.
here's Mike.
Yay.
So have you met my friend Mike? And so it's the same thing. When your business, I don't think a lot about the transactions. I really focus on the people because it's so habit forming.
Right.
Like I get a buyer, here's Mike.
Right.
We don't even talk till we talk to Mike.
Right.
You've got some people you've been talking to for 3 or 4 years because they're not ready.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk to Mike until you're ready, and then I'll jump in.
Yes.
And I just think habits are part of our business too.
Absolutely. Makes the whole thing work.
It does.
Yeah.
Because I do. If somebody asks me, well, what happened after this? I can tell you because that's what happens after every inspection. That's what happens after every foundation. I mean, I do the same thing every time.
Yeah. You don't have to think about it.
I don't even have to think about it.
Well, I think that's all. Well, thank you very much for that, by the way. But we're an hour already. I know it goes fast, right?
It goes very, very
super fast. So I really appreciate you coming in, and I appreciate you stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit and making this work for you. And we'll definitely have to do it again. So once we get a little bit further down the road, we can talk about your social media journy and how that's going.
There we go.
Because now we're just starting that ball rolling. So we'll have to visit about that and how that's moving again. But I love you to death. You're one of my favorite humans on the planet. And that's why I wore Be a Good Human, because you're one of my favorite people. So thank you for coming in, and thank you for spending the time with me. And I know this was not something that you wanted to do. So we'll definitely have to do it again. And hopefully we can have dinner tonight and it's not going to storm and wreck everything.
I know. It's going to be a double dip Mike tonight.
I know.
To get you in the afternoon and in the evening.
Good or bad. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's going to be great.
Well, thanks for everybody that stuck around and watched for a little bit. I appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.